Right, let's do some headlines. Punish perpetrators of the Ayawaso West Wuogon by-election violence before passing the vigilantism bill. That's the charge from the opposition NDC to Parliament. Now, according to the Director of International Relations of the party, Alex Seguefia, such decisive action will send a strong signal of the commitment to curb vigilantism. The vigilantism bill, which is currently before Parliament's Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, is expected to outlaw vigilantism and ban its related activities when passed. Already, the two major political parties in the country have committed to ending the canker in an ongoing dialogue being moderated by the National Peace Council. At a stakeholders forum on the bill, Dr. Seguefia, without mincing words, described the bill as a premature legislation.
Also, we note that the legislation is not retrospective. So anything that is done now does not cover anything that has happened in the past. And we are concerned that it is perhaps a lack of show of political will. Why do we say that? There are low-hanging fruits at the moment to demonstrate to the whole world that we are serious about vigilantism. The low-hanging fruits are what brought us here in the first place. There has been Chiriponi, there has been Etiwa, Exit-Talency, name it. But what brought us here was Ayawaso West Wuogon. Let's not have any doubt about it. And that is a low-hanging fruit. Because the other factor is that there are existing laws now, which are the only laws you can use. You cannot use this law to deal with anything that happened in Ayawaso, because this law cannot act retrospectively. The existing law is what should be used to deal with Ayawaso. And a law there to be shown by institutional and political man who has been deemed to have perhaps perpetrated a crime in Ayawaso to be dealt with immediately, notwithstanding any political affiliation.
Now, the ruling MPP, however, believes the violence that erupted at the Ayawaso West Wuogon election can't be dealt with in isolation. Lawyer Gary Nimako represented the party.
On the question of low-hanging fruits, I believe we all recall that these violence, Chiripone, and other places have all occurred, but we never for once saw a commission of inquiry being set up to investigate these violence. For the first time, we had the president set up a commission of inquiry to investigate issues of politically related violence. I think that is a good call, which we must commend the president. Again, it has been followed by a bill and also discussions between the two parties, NPP, NDC. I think all is to ensure that by the time we complete this process, collectively as a nation, we will all ensure that violent acts which deals with politics, we will all throw it back and then ensure that for whatever reason, you go into the polls, cast your ballot, go in peace and not in pieces. So that's what we have to say, that we are committed to ensure that anything that deals with violent matters, the party will not support it.
Now, I must warn you, if you're having breakfast, this next story may not go very well with it. It has to do with some challenges being experienced by the Ifutu Municipal Assembly at Winneba with the disposal of human excreta dislodged in the central regional town, which has compelled it to resort to some unorthodox means. The Assembly is dumping the untreated fecal matter on farmlands to be used as manure, and also in bushes along the Accra-Cape Coast Highway. Officials explain it is because the municipality does not have a sewage system. JoyNews' Maxwell Agbagba has been picking up a bit more in this story.
After using the WC, I don't know where it ends. All I know is when it's full, they come for it then. That's all. I don't know where it's been dumped. So if it's been dumped in the bush, then there's no reason for me doing it in the house. I think I should just go directly and do that there.
A place, Sikendi Takradi. We have a place called Injensia, and then we have some sea over there. That's the place that they throw the waste into.
Some residents of Winneba sharing their thoughts on where they think is the final disposal site for what they leave behind when they visit their water closet.
Here in the bush around Winneba Junction, I'm told, directly opposite the Driver Vehicle and Licensing Authority office here. Well, what is happening behind me is a cesspit, truck dislodging its content here inside this bush. It's just about 100 meters away from the main Accra Cape Coast Road, and this is where Efutu Municipal Assembly usually dump their liquid fecal matter. Yes, right here.
Chief Executive Officer of the Efutu Municipal Assembly, Alfred Ninsen, says the Assembly has stopped dumping liquid waste into the sea. They do not have anywhere to dump it now. Farms and the land along the Accra Cape Coast Highway have become the final disposal sites for the Assembly. He is aware of the environmental pollution, but says they do not have any alternative.
All the MMDCs, MMDs, they have a difficulty in disposing of this liquid waste. Efutu, it has been the process that we dump into the sea. Now we are dumping into farms, open lands for farming as a manure. So that's what we've been doing. And not that we are directly dumping onto plants and seeds. No, we are very comfortable doing that. But our monitors every quarter we have monitors from our region Cape Coast coming to look at the way we dispose of our liquid waste, especially liquid waste and other solid waste. So the advice that what the practice is not very good. Hygienically, it's not very good. So we should rather find a better way of disposing them.
I've now met the Environmental Health Officer of the Efutu Municipal Assembly, Juliana Nati. She says haphazard dumping of liquid waste has serious health implications.
There are so many health implications about dumping the liquid waste there. In the first place, we don't know where some people might fetch their water. Some of these villages, maybe they depend on some streams and rivers. So when you dump this waste there, you don't know where it will wash this waste and then dump it into the drinking water of some people. And they can easily get cholera, typhoid, and all those diarrhea diseases.
The story is quite different at Tamale. Here, a truck is discharging liquid waste into a waste stabilization pond very close to a landfill site.
From afar, they look like fish ponds, but no, when you get closer, is what a layman would best describe as an SHIT pond. These serve as a fecal treatment plant for residents of the Tamale Metropolitan Assembly.
Waste stabilization ponds are designed for the treatment of liquid waste. The 7 fecal ponds serve as the final disposal site for human excreta from Tamale. Plastic bags from an adjoining landfill site have littered the brownish-black looking ponds. Some cattle are also strolling very close to it. I've met the assemblyman for the Kula Balahi electoral area, Al-Hassan Seidu. He says sometimes the liquid waste does not end up at the site. Some farmers contract drivers to dump the untreated waste on their farms.
Whenever it rains heavily, the water overflows to our sources, I think, and that is the only sources that we have in our communities. We don't have pipe-borne water. We have only a dam water. And when it comes like that, all the water is going to be polluted.
Public Relations Officer of the Tamale Metropolitan Assembly says there are plans for rehabilitation of the waste stabilization ponds to address concerns.
And in the kind of a PPP with interested people. And so we have put in motion to redesign the ponds, the stabilization ponds. And I can assure you that by June, we will be having consultants on the project. From the head of the waste management department has put in place some measures to ensure that we track down or we track and actually arrest these recalcitrant septic MTS operators.
Yeah, right. Now, before we go, starting next week, the National Development Planning Commission will begin a series of town hall meetings to solicit views into a new development plan being prepared. The meetings will take place in different communities within the capital, Accra, for 6 months before moving on to other parts of the country. Now, the Commission announced this at a news conference in Accra yesterday. Philip Ankra was there for JoyNews.
Dialogue are to encourage public discourse devoid of sensationalism and partisan politics on topical issues regarding the economy, social development, spatial planning, infrastructure development, environment and governance. According to a concept note presented, the fora will be used to manage expectations regarding Ghana's development and also engender hope and actively engage the populace. The target audience comprises experts and practitioners, civil society organizations, development partners and the general public. Speaking at a media briefing today, Chairman of the National Development Planning Commission, Professor Emeritus Stephen Adai, expressed worry that the medium-term development plan instituted by government has not improved the standard of living of citizens across the country. Hence, the need for a non-partisan agenda.
You cannot develop unless there's a broad-based consensus in the country around where we want to go. For example, if you have any development becomes so partisan, and unfortunately, given our political setup, about 40% belonging to an opposition party is always seeing the downfall of the other in government, and then we are not going anywhere. And there's a need to build national consensus around key development issues so that we can say that if there's a need to build a railway network from Ghana, from Accra, Tema, Takoradi to Paga, this is a national project, and that project, whether it is NPP or not, if you don't continue it, quote unquote, you could be punished politically.
He further called on Ghanaians to reject manifesto promises from politicians and demand what meets their aspirations.
There is only one thing, development of Ghana, and the governments are to be the vehicle to do so. So it's a question of educating the Ghanaians to demand from the policymakers and the politicians what they require. At this moment, it's almost like, this is what we want to do. This is our manifesto. But that, I hope that in a matter of less than 1.5 years, there will be an election, campaign at least, before. People should not, especially since the politicians have been telling us we are empowered to implement our manifesto. The manifestos will be put in a forum like this. MPP manifesto, this is it. Is that the best one for Ghana, so that when we elect you and you implement this? NDC. These are the things we should interrogate, because I don't believe that politicians should have their way and the people should have their people's expectations should be captured by the politicians and implemented.
The maiden forum will be on the topic Ghana at 100, an agenda towards a solidly developed nation. For JoyNews, Philip Anker's report.
That's where we're to a close, but coming up, of course, all the headlines with Nimwa and Nim Ado, and then we'll head into our show proper. Big conversations to be had. Shatawale Stoneboy banned, right? What does this mean? Especially on social media, where people are demanding their money back for voting them to win certain categories of awards. They've been stripped of their awards, by the way. That's also an important factor. And then later, Kitty joins us with some music and some conversation. It's going to be fascinating. But in between that, we're asking the question, would you leave social media for your relationship? Think about it. Talk to us on Facebook, Twitter. We want to hear your views. And, of course, we'll share them here on the AM show. Don't go anywhere.